Almost nobody buys a multi-tool the smart way. You walk in, grab whatever famous name is sitting at eye level, and walk out having paid for a tool that was built for somebody else's life. Because that wall you're standing in front of is not one product with a price tag on it. It's 7 completely different tools, built for 7 completely different people, all pretending to be the same purchase. I've carried tools at nearly every rung of that ladder, worn a few of them out, and there's exactly one level where the money quietly stops buying you a better tool and starts buying you a name. Most carriers blow right past it by 2 full levels. Before we start climbing, one thing to burn in, because it outranks the price at every single level. A multi-tool only counts if it's actually on you. The most loaded, most capable tool on this whole list does nothing for you from the nightstand. 7 levels, bottom to top. Let's go. Level 1. The Keychain multi-tool. This is the bottom rung, and it might be the most honest tool on the whole list. We're talking about the little guys that ride on your keys or vanish into a coin pocket. A Victorinox Rambler or Manager, a Leatherman Micra, a small SOG, 20, maybe 30 bucks, and prices on these barely move year to year. Now the part that surprises people. The most used tool in most carriers' whole setup is a humble little thing they never brag about, and it lives right down here at the bottom. I'd bet money the single most reached for tool on you is either the tiny scissors or a compact flathead, and both of them live at this level, not up top with the expensive stuff. Loose thread, a zip tie, a stubborn blister pack, trimming a nail at your desk. That's daily life in a city, and this handles it without a second thought. The other quiet advantage is airport security. The bladeless ones, a little SOG or a next tool with no knife in it, ride through a checkpoint in your pocket, and you never think about it. If you fly at all, that alone is worth the $20, and you keep a real knife waiting at home. This is also the level people get genuinely sentimental about, and it's worth knowing why. When Leatherman killed off the beloved little squirt, the used prices went vertical, and people are still mad about it, because a great keychain tool becomes part of your hand in a way a $200 showpiece never does. So don't let anyone make you feel small for stopping here. Plenty of sharp, practical people carry nothing but a keychain tool their whole lives, and they are perfectly equipped for a city. Level 2. The Swiss Army class. Step up and the tool gets bigger, but notice what it still does not have: no pliers. This is the whole blade and scissor lineage, the classic Swiss Army knife grown into a real pocket tool. A Victorinox compact, a huntsman, a ranger if you want the metal saw and the file. What defines this level is a proper knife blade and good scissors in a slim package that carries like a folding knife instead of a chunk of metal. The steel is a softer Swiss stainless, which the forums love to complain about, but it takes an edge back in about 30 seconds on any stone, and it shrugs off rust better than almost anything sitting above it. For office carry, travel, opening mail and boxes, and the occasional apple, this tier is hard to beat, and it never once looks tactical sitting on a desk. Honestly, I think it's the most underrated tier on the whole list. The trap here is one Victorinox has been quietly selling for over a century. The tool count keeps climbing. You can buy one with a magnifying glass, a fish scaler, a toothpick, a tiny pen, and 30 other implements, and you'll use maybe 4 of them. Every extra tool adds thickness and price without making the actual knife any better, and it rides worse in the pocket for it. Buy the layout that matches what you really do, and ignore the one with the longest spec sheet, because that one is sold on the fantasy of the day you'll need a fish scaler in a boardroom. Want this exact format but with locking tools and a US legal blade on a real pocket clip? The newer challengers like Roxxon are worth a hard look, usually with a harder blade steel and big scissors for under $40. That mix varies by model, so check the current spec, but the category finally has real competition, and Victorinox no longer gets to be the only game in town. Level 3. The hardware store plier tool. Now the pliers finally show up, and this is exactly where the money gets dangerous. This is the bin by the register at the hardware store. The $5 to $50 plier multi-tool, the Ozark Trail, the no-name 12-in-1, the bargain clones of the famous stuff now that the old patents have run out. I want to be fair to this level, because some of it surprises. The tortured test channels that cut and bend these on camera have found budget tools that punched way above the price. Screwdrivers that stripped the screw before they stripped themselves. A plier head that took real abuse and kept clamping. And a $5 tool that gets you through one weekend project owes you nothing after that. But you have to know what you're buying. The cheapest ones ship with a blade that's sharp for about a week, and then goes dull and stays dull, and a lot of them have no blade lock at all, which means the knife can fold on your fingers the second you actually lean on it. The stainless is soft and it starts rusting if you look at it wrong. A buddy of mine carried a bargain plier tool for one summer, and the belt clip warped, a spring bent backward and never came back, and the whole thing picked up a wobble you could hear across a room. This is also the tier where a famous old name will happily take your money for a tool that's living off a reputation it earned 30 years ago and hasn't deserved since. I'll say it plainly. A lot of the budget stuff wearing a legendary logo today is not the tool that logo built its name on, and the comment sections are wall-to-wall with people who found that out the hard way, usually right when they needed it to hold. So skip the gamble because you don't have to take it. Pass on the $10 mystery brand and put that money toward a stripped-down full-size from a company that stands behind it. A simple Leatherman rebar or a Rev, fewer moving parts to fail, still covered by the same 25-year warranty as the tools that cost 4 times as much. Spend a little more there and it lasts. Buy the mystery brand and you'll be back for another one by fall. Level 4, the flagship. This is it. This is the level you're most likely to be happiest carrying, and if you take one single thing from this entire video, take this rung. The mainstream flagship plier multitool. A Leatherman Wave Plus, a Victorinox SwissTool, a Gerber center drive. Let me tell you what your money finally buys here, because all of it is real and all of it matters. Tools that lock, so the blade doesn't fold on your hand under load. You can deploy the blade and the pliers one-handed instead of prying at your fingernails in a parking lot. The plier head is built to survive years of hard squeezing, and the whole thing carries with no rattle and no slop. The Wave Plus runs a basic but capable stainless, weighs about 8.5 ounces, packs 18 tools, and it's built by hand in Portland, Oregon, backed by a 25-year warranty. It's the tool I carried in my pocket for years, and it's still the one I hand anybody who asks me where to start. There's a reason it's the default answer to that question. But look at the pick most people walk right past on their way to grab the famous one. The Victorinox SwissTool quietly matches it, and in a few ways beats it, for the same kind of money. Every tool locks, and every one is reachable without opening the pliers first. Each rides on its own spring, so they don't clump together in a fistful when you want just the file. It's made in Ebach, Switzerland, and carries a lifetime warranty. The word among people who carry both is that the softer Swiss steel bends where the harder American tool can snap, and on a tool you use as a pry bar half the time, I would rather have the one that bends. The only real knock is that the softer blade dulls a touch faster and it comes right back on a stone. If you've never handled one, you owe yourself a look before you assume the famous logo is automatically the better buy. And here's the move to make if you make no other one on this whole ladder. Get yourself up out of the hardware store bin and into a real flagship. Crossing that one gap changes more about the tool in your hand than every step above it put together. Past this rung the price keeps climbing fast, but the tool barely does, which is the exact thing the next 3 levels are built to make you forget. One quick thing, since we're right at the halfway point. If you'd rather buy the right tool once than keep replacing the wrong one, this channel is built for you, so tap subscribe before we keep climbing. Now, level 5 is where the marketing gets clever. Level 5, the steel upgrade. Climb one more rung, and the thing your extra money buys quietly changes from a more capable tool into a harder, fancier blade steel. This is the premium steel tier, a Leatherman Skeletool CX with a 154 cm blade, a Charge Plus in CPM 154. The old Charge TTI in S30V with a titanium handle, which Leatherman has since discontinued. The whole pitch here is edge retention. A harder tool steel holds its sharpness longer, and in a controlled cutting test it measurably does. The Skeletool CX is a lovely tool, one of the lightest full-size options going at around 5 ounces, and that harder blade is a real step up from the plain stainless one rung down. If you're a knife person who notices these things, this tier is a pleasure, and I get it, because I am one. But I've lived this exact upgrade, so let me save you the tuition. I paid up for the fancier steel. I carried it for a good long while, and in normal city life, opening boxes and trimming zip ties and doing light work at a desk, I could not honestly tell you a single day got better. The blade held its edge a little longer between sharpenings. That was the whole difference I could feel. For the average carrier, this is a hobbyist's upgrade, not a working one, and there's no shame in wanting the nicer steel because it's nice. Just go in clear-eyed that you're buying a nicer blade, and not a tool that does any more than the one a rung down. What actually justifies spending up around this level has nothing to do with the blade. It's the warranty behind the good brands, and it's worth running the math most people skip. A 25-year guarantee on a $100 tool isn't a slogan. It's a real chunk of the price that comes straight back to you the first time you snap a plier tip or wear a blade down to nothing. because the good companies just fix it and mail it home for the cost of shipping. I've had it done, and it's a strange kind of loyalty a company earns when they do it. Set that against the $30 clone you toss and rebuy every couple of years, and over 10 years it's the cheap one that quietly costs you more. Level 6, the heavy-duty specialist. This level isn't a straight climb, it's a hard step sideways into purpose-built territory. These are the tools built for people who use them to earn a living. A Leatherman Surge, the big brute plenty of tradespeople flatly call a king. A SOG PowerLock, with its geared, compound leverage pliers. A Victorinox SwissTool MX, that clips into a pocket for the carrier who wants Swiss build in a full working size. What you're paying for here is leverage and toughness, not another handful of little gadgets. The Surge runs a heavier plier head and a real replaceable saw, and it will chew through work that makes a slim flagship flinch. The SOG's geared pliers multiply your squeeze in a way a standard tool can't, which is why electricians and HVAC guys swear by them on a job site. And that clipped SwissTool is the sleeper buy-it-for-life of the whole class. Outboard tools you reach without opening the pliers, a one-hand blade, and a pocket clip so it rides without a belt sheath, often for less than the American premium tools. This is the tier where the extra weight finally earns its keep, because the tool is doing real labor every single day instead of opening the occasional box. And this is where I'll happily concede the point I've been leaning on this whole time. If you genuinely beat on your gear for work, spending up here is the right call, and not a penny of it is brand tax. When you're genuinely hard on a tool day in and day out, that extra weight is the whole point. The sleek little flagship is the one that cracks on you at the worst possible moment. Just be dead honest about whether that's actually you. Plenty of people buy the trade brute on a fantasy of hard use, carry it exactly twice, and slink back to something pocketable, because a tool this heavy only works if it's genuinely on you every day. 2 cautions before you spend real money here. The famous names at this level have had genuine quality wobble over the years, so the exact tool your uncle swore by 20 years ago is not automatically the same tool wearing that logo today. And some brands that moved production overseas got a lot stricter about warranty claims, suddenly wanting receipts they never used to ask for. Read who owns the brand now and what the warranty actually promises in writing, not the reputation the name is living off. Level 7, the grail. Top of the ladder. And here I have to change what we're even measuring, because up here it stops being about the work and starts being about the object. This is the boutique tier. The newest flagship steels, the titanium, the magnetic mechanisms, the modular swap any tool systems, the small shop customs that cost more than everything below them stacked together. Some of this is real. The Leatherman Arc was the first multi-tool to carry a top-shelf modern blade steel called MagnaCut, and it runs right around $230. On paper, and in the hand, it's an excellent tool. But listen to the people who actually bought one and carry it, and the phrase that keeps surfacing is fidget toy. Then there's the magnetic free line, which deploys fast and one-handed and feels fantastic, but drops the flat bit driver a working carrier leans on, and the magnets grab metal filings, which is exactly why welders quietly stop carrying them. You're paying flagship plus money for the magnets and the motion, not for a tool that does more work than the wave. And then there's titanium, which is where this tier finally stops pretending. I bought a beautiful titanium tool once. I babied it so hard I basically never used it. I caught myself opening the blade with the cuff of my shirt so I wouldn't smudge the finish, and that was the exact moment the whole thing collapsed for me. A tool you're afraid to use is not a tool, it's jewelry with a blade attached. The forums are full of guys who bought the exotic finish and now handle it with nitrile gloves, and half of them will admit it barely gets carried at all. If collecting is your thing, then enjoy it, it's a great hobby. Just know that admiring a tool and carrying one are 2 different sports. The shape of the ladder. Here's what the marketing works hardest to hide about this whole climb. It is not a straight line up. It's a steep climb from the bottom to the flagship, and then it goes nearly flat. So start with the plan, because it's simpler than the wall makes it look. Put a keychain tool on your keys today, because it's the one you'll actually use most. Add a flagship the moment you can name the 2 or 3 tools you keep reaching for. Only climb past that when you can say the exact reason out loud. And skip the top of the ladder entirely, unless you've decided you're a collector, in which case, welcome. It really is a great hobby. Where the curve bends is level 4. A locking, one-hand warranted flagship, right around $100, is where quality and price actually meet. And for the average carrier, it's the last multi-tool decision they ever have to make. Everything above it, the premium steel, the titanium, the $230 grail, is that same flat line dressed up. That top-shelf tool is not doing $200 more work than the $100 one. It's a slightly better steel you'll never feel on a cardboard box, a prettier handle, and a good story. Call it maybe 5% more tool for well over double the money, and that math only works if the money genuinely doesn't matter to you. Wanting the nice thing is completely fine. Just buy it knowing it's a want you're treating yourself to, and not a tool that earns its price back, because the latter is real, and it stops paying you back a whole lot sooner than the price tags want you to believe. So here's what I actually want to know from you. What's the multi-tool that's been riding in your pocket the longest, and did anything you bought later ever genuinely beat it? Drop it in the comments.